Welcome everybody to another edition of DC Domingo, number 29 now. We've been away for a little bit, mostly because I had my spring break 1 week, and then my girlfriend had it the next week, and then the week prior to that was the Oscars, so I was pretty damn happy. Guillermo del Toro won a bunch of awards. We even had like a little party here. And it's just been kind of busy. We had some friends return from Florida, major props, they were like, yeah, we can't live there. A lot of strange stories from Florida. So, we hung out with them a couple weeks, and, I don't want to just do a show just because I want views or I want attention. It's more, I don't know, I just like doing this. It's something to reminiscent and, look back on it. I am getting back into drawing, so that's going to be cool. I will actually be doing comics, writing and drawing them. So kudos to me. I will definitely, plug in my website that I'm working on. So yeah, I have just an artist page, with photography and illustrations and stuff like that. I will be setting up a shop if you want to get like a canvas or something from me, So yeah, life is exciting. We're going to talk about, a few of the highlights. We're going to talk about the Aquaman hype train starting. Also a bunch of CW shows are kind of wowing me, even Gotham and Krypton, but I'll have more reviews on Gotham and Krypton once their season ends. For right now, all I gotta say is wow, Black Lightning, it's a great show. I don't really have a full season review. I am gonna wait to review it with the other seasons. But I just wanted to give a nice shout out to Black Lightning. What they've done so far, they have a lot of balls. Me as a minority, I'm kind of like, wow, they fucking went there. While the masses were in love with Black Panther and all that, what kind of stuff, Black Lightning just touched me a little bit more because it's a little bit more urban, more relevant to what's going on, in the cities, and also what's going on in the U.S. I was really surprised what they got away with, in terms of content and context. That's, and consumerism, the triple C, they have the right combination of writing, acting, cinematography, special effects, direction of the show. So yeah, major props to Black Lightning. I was just going to list it as a topic, but as you can see, I'm just kind of going on it. So the other topics that I'm going to talk about are the Shazam Pictures and their, little event they had on Instagram. Also, Spielberg with the Blackbirds, the Harley Quinn movie news, New Gods, movie, and of course, Superman 1000, Superman turning 80 years is going to be the closer, because I got a lot to say about it. So let's get started. Warning: the following podcast contains politics, leftist politics, the whole truth, justice, American way thing. We live in a time where one has to post this. Progress is a dirty word, such as science and reason. My superheroes would weep. This podcast contains naughty language as well. Now, as this title of the podcast says, it's like, the hatred towards DC seems to be kind of dying down. What kind of proof do I have of this? Well, I think it's just that with the recent announcements of DC slate movies, but also with the changing of the guard, with Hamada now being in charge of it, we're getting a brand new, kind of the way people are handling information. For instance, we know that the Shazam director takes no shit from anybody. He puts them in their place. We noticed that when the celebration for Superman was happening, a lot of positivity came out. We mentioned the Man of Steel being displayed by the actual, DC Comics. An article or a joke from Twitter, from the Sci-Fi Network, talking about what kind of morals Superman would have, and then they joked about, the way Superman behaved against Zod in Man of Steel by Zack Snyder in a derogatory way. One producer kind of went on Twitter and said, hey, most of us love Man of Steel. It's a great movie. We respect it. So I think that we didn't see that back then. People used to make fun of DC, and we didn't see people speak out. A lot of these other negative, kind of websites, now that we have Ava, an African American director, and a second female director at that. Now we have a third female director who is the second Asian American director. All these websites are carefully wording their shit. They say things like, well, it's what DC needs. This could be good. They're not saying shit because they're scared of, the social upheaval. If you say something negative, they're fucking gonna get it. So they're tiptoeing around the subject. Even somebody who made fun of Spielberg, for joining DC was quickly met with a giant torrent of check your attitude at the door kind of attitude. Not by DC fans, mind you. We were just kind of like, more of the fucking same, right? But from people, when I went to see, Ready Player One, we also saw other couple movies, and people didn't laugh at Deadpool at all, or with Deadpool, which is the aim. So the whole, Deadpool trailer saying, like, oh my god, stop hitting me, you're so dark, you're kind of like a DC character or something, nobody laughed. It was like, that's kind of irrelevant to your fight, man. And that's the thing, if you want to make Deadpool a parody, you kind of have to keep it consistent to the joke that you're doing right now, So bringing DC Comics into a fight is kind of like, what the fuck? Why? Now if you said something about, hey, hit me as hard as a insert popular baseball player name, then yeah, that joke is just easy, dumb, and just writes itself, That's what Deadpool is. It's like Google search, okay, joke about that. Okay, Google search, Google about that. So yeah, things are definitely changing. There are some concerns that Infinity War might not make as much movie money as Black Panther, and that any kind of negativity is going to be met with like, fuck you, you're a racist. So a lot of movie critics are on the edge, because the previous Marvel hit was Black Panther. So whatever they say about Infinity War is going to be carefully worded. Currently, we had a situation where one writer for Collider, he had a bad interaction with a Marvel actor from Infinity, and Disney and Marvel decided to pull the interview out, and if this was a DC actor, the shit would have hit the fan. You know, before the Justice League, there was a giant week where every single actor was accused of doing something wrong. Yeah, even, Gal Gadot, there was some bullshit rumor for like 45 minutes to 50 minutes on the internet, and that was enough to tarnish her image too. Of course, the rumor was debunked, and the website took it down. Took down the post, posted by Anonymous, but the damage was done. So before that, we had a lot of shit to put up with. And right now we're kind of seeing like a steady, not silencing of dissident, but kind of like, really, guy, can't you fucking do something new? So that's what the title of this is coming. I should have grabbed screen caps of all this, but I don't really want to. I kind of want to let all those fucking haters dig their own fucking grave. I'm kind of like Superman in the statue rising from a, bunch of skulls. I don't want to be, stuck in that. And, I'm sure there's going to be nitpicking towards the DC universe, but, from what I'm seeing, and the diversity behind the scenes, where, Marvel can't fucking really match it right now. Alrighty, so there were a couple of like blurry Shazam pictures that, surfaced, and, people were kind of like, blah, 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 it kind of looks weird, blah, 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 blah. So now we have some other, better pictures. But before I show them to you, be sure to, actually go and view, if you haven't already, the stream that was done through Instagram via Entertainment Weekly and DC Comics. They had a takeover. It's like a 10-minute video of the Shazam movie on set. I really, think that you guys might like it. Go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. The pictures that we're going to show are pretty much all over the internet. Everybody's got them. I don't think, since I'm not doing any kind of monetary thing with this channel, I think it's fair use, as long as I don't claim that I took them. We're going to start off with this one. As you can see, it's a little kid in crutches with the actual Superman logo from Man of Steel in t-shirt form. So what does that tell you? I think what that tells us is that two things. One is that, like we saw in Suicide Squad, Superman t-shirts are kind of hot. They're existing everywhere. And I recall Zack Snyder talking about the statue at Heroes Park from Batman vs. Superman, where the statue didn't resemble Henry Cavill, because Superman would just be very, very fast in saving people, and also the adrenaline would kick in, and people would just be so like, whoa, Superman's here, that they wouldn't have a very accurate Superman shot. That was further enhanced with the blurry, brief images that Batman had in the Batcave. So they don't know what Superman looks like, but they know of the S shield. They know the colors. And over here, it's pretty awesome that they have, this logo here from Man of Steel. And what we're told through the grapevine, Henry Cavill posted a very interesting picture with him on a undisclosed set, and many people have linked that to his assistant being near the Shazam movie. So, do we have a confirmation of Superman appearing in the Shazam movie? Perhaps. But I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. So that's the information that we gather from that particular picture. The big baddie, Dr. Savannah, played by Mark Strong, also known as Sinestro from the Green Lantern movie. And I don't know if you read the New 52 version of Shazam, but that scar that he has allows him to see magic. Definitely pick up the New 52 Shazam. I think they're drawing inspiration from all the comics in the screenplay, and that's kind of nice. I really like the idea of a scientist battling magic. I don't know if you recall the butchered Iron Man 3 versus the Mandarin. It was just a giant CGI fest cop-out. There wasn't any internal thinking by Tony Stark trying to decipher, magic from the Mandarin. In this one, you will get that. The bad guy is going to try to decipher magic, quantify it and make it into a formula, things like that. So I'm really excited. Mark Strong is a great actor, and he's going to do great. Over here, we have a very amazing close-up of Zachary Levi as, Shazam, Captain Marvel. And if you can see, there are 2 lions on those coins or emblems that he's got around the triangular lightning bolt, which is really bright yellow. I think they might do some Kirby dots, to show magic in there. He looks pretty beefy. I think it's kind of like the Superman outfit where there are muscle prosthetics, but also the actor is really buff. So when people say, oh my god, it looks fake, it's like, well, I think they did it to enhance it. And also the texture looks very much like the Man of Steel costume, which I really, really appreciate. Here are 2 wonderful shots. The one above is definitely the 2 bad guys. Well, not the 2 bad guys. The main guys of the film, the bad guy and the good guy, interlocked into some kind of chokehold. And then at the bottom, they're just kind of like being friendly and stuff, which is pretty cool. This shot reveals that the gauntlet also has the bright yellow, which they might remove, and that's another cool shot of Zachary Levi on top of a police car. The police car seems to be crushed. I don't know. I think he might be like saving someone that was thrown into the vehicle, because I don't think he would like land ridiculously harsh on top of a police car. That might put one of the officers in danger. And finally, a good full body shot of the costume with the beautiful New 52 designed belt. And again, this, costume looks pretty damn accurate to what the comics, old school and new school, Rebirth, New 52, Chip Kid also iteration. So yeah, Shazam is looking to be pretty damn awesome. I approve. Welcome, Steven Spielberg to DC. This came out of nowhere. We were all shocked when Martin Scorsese was announced to be developing a Joker movie. A lot of people seem to be going, what? And I really enjoy the way DC's approaching it. And I think they have discovered a beautiful advantage over Marvel with this. I saw a lot of people, fans going, game over, it's over. I'm like, well, things get a little bit more interesting. Definitely, for sure. For me, it's been game over since Disney butchered Marvel with Iron Man 2. I'm like, fuck that. It's been game over for a while. This one, however, it kind of throws a wrench into things and kind of shows you what a creative person wants to do with comic books and comic book property. Back in the days of Jeanette Kahn and, the origin of Vertigo, a lot of artists were approached. Even Frank Miller and Alan Moore, these artists were approached and were asked, hey, what would you like to do? And a lot of them had wild, crazy ideas, and sometimes they would pay off and sometimes they wouldn't. I think with Spielberg, having him do a Black Hawks movie, it's going to be right up his alley. He's gone back to the adventure films with Ready Player One, which is my year's favorite movie so far. I think he's going to be a beautiful addition. I noticed that one of the actors mentioned something about his character being Black Hawk from the Wonder Woman movie, and it might be interesting if Spielberg casts him as the Black Hawk or one of the members of Black Hawk. I, for one, cannot wait. I know that in an ideal world, we would love to see maybe John Williams return and George Lucas to help with the script. Kind of give like a nice Indiana Jones vibe. I understand if, Spielberg hires somebody else. Zach Penn did a great job with the script with Ready Player One, along with the book's author in that movie. So maybe they'll bring Zach Penn back, and it'll be interesting to see. I highly recommend going to Amazon and purchasing the movie serials in black and white. There's a lot of them. I think 15 episodes in total. I'm not too sure. I just ordered my copy. So I will definitely have them for prosperity. And couldn't be happier. Now, another good news that has been rotating on the internet a little bit, and some assholes have used to kind of throw stones at DC, but that stuff is going away. As the title of our podcast is coming along, it's actually, becoming kind of a nuisance saying something negative about DC, because it kind of shows favoritism and, annoying and amateurish journalist integrity. It's kind of like when some president on Twitter keeps blaming the previous administration for new problems, Anyway, so this is pretty cool. I was really excited when Margot Robbie actually became a producer for her movies. I think she negotiated something with Warner Brothers and said, hey, if I'm going to be Harley Quinn and this is going to be my career for the next 10 years, I might want to have a piece of the pie. I might want to have, I'm playing an independent woman on screen. It makes no sense why all the dudes should have the money and call the shots, right? And I think, she's right. Her production company is picking up, I think, Birds of Prey. I'm not sure about Suicide Squad 2. But this is great. We have Cathy Yan, who is not only the third female director. there's another one. But it also the second Asian film director, besides from Aquaman's director. And it's pretty damn exciting. I believe a lot of the news made it seem like the script was really damn powerful, and I think that's what it that's what really changed the tide. They had two competing scripts, for the movie, and they just said, what, fuck it, we're gonna pick the best one, and they did. I think I am gonna go on record again and disagree with David Ayer, because in retrospect he said, I kind of wish that Joker was the bad guy of Suicide Squad, and I like Suicide Squad as it is, because the Joker's always been the center of attention no matter where he lands. And one of the things that I loved about Suicide Squad is that Harley Quinn, Diablo, and Deadshot were the protagonists. It was like something new and refreshing. Yeah, we had the Joker, yeah, we have Batman, but those three were the main protagonists. So I'm really kind of hoping that the Margot Robbie is, or she's the bad guy, and the Birds of Prey are trying to, go against her. And maybe towards the end, she ends up becoming not a bad guy, but just kind of like a gray rogue. Kind of like in the current comics, So, but yeah, Amanda Conner, I believe, she's doing a fantastic job there in the comics. Jim Palmiotti and Amanda Conner, I think they're a couple. They're wonderful people. Follow them on Twitter. Yeah. So I think it's freaking exciting, dude. I think it's a wonderful time to be alive for DC. I cannot wait. Now, if I could only afford that Harley Quinn statue with the Joker, I gotta work extra shifts for that. The second female director in the DC universe has been announced. Ava DuVernay is set to direct a movie, New Gods. And if you have no idea who the New Gods are, you need to read comics, man. And girl. No, but seriously, New Gods are a wonderful creation by Jack Kirby, who, it's pretty much everything that people give credit to Stan Lee for creating. Jack Kirby had his hand in it. I tend to believe that Jack Kirby was given a premise, and he just, he might have just come up more than just the drawings. He might have come up with some backstory as well. But since, there was a settlement lawsuit out of court, we can't ever know. That's another thing that good old Disney has robbed us of the truth. But, if you speak to most artists, they'll tell you that back in those days, Jack Kirby was the brain behind this. And the fourth world, the New Gods, refers to a two worlds, New Genesis and Apocalypse, living basically side by side in the same solar system. One is a beacon of hope, kind of like heaven, and the other one's pretty much hell. Apocalypse is ruled by Darkseid, one of the big baddies of not only Superman, but of the entire DC universe. And yeah, Ava is going to make a movie about this. It was kind of wild because she's really talented. I think that a lot of people who were hoping that A Wrinkle in Time would do better at the box office underestimated the juggernaut of, the social movement behind Black Panther. Disney was probably hoping that it would carry over, the next weekend, and it didn't, kind of sad. It kind of goes to show you that you kind of want to base movies on kind of like objectivity, and I think that A Wrinkle in Time, it wasn't as bad as the box office reflected. It is what it is, and it's kind of sad that people are swayed, by, public opinion. Hopefully they'll be swayed enough to go see this movie. I think that, she has a great handle on storytelling. I saw a hint of this coming just kind of a wild guess. Somebody asked her, hey, if you were going to do a comic book movie, who would you choose? And on Twitter, and she said, Big Barda, and everybody was like, whoa, that's kind of wild, and then she gave her reasons. And I think it's good. Big Barda has been kind of a wonderful character, for many. It's definitely not just a female Thor. She's more than that. I think she is actually way better than the movie Thor, for sure. She is really tall and dates a short guy named Mr. Miracle. Yeah, and she's pretty damn awesome. I mean, she's gone head to toe with toe to toe with Wonder Woman. So you can kind of tell what kind of power levels we're talking about. There was a lot of rumors that this might be a Elseworld story, and that maybe one of the reasons why, the unmentionable director who released the Justice League movie left out big chunks of New Apocalypse and Darkseid was basically because, they wanted her to be part of the narrative and her movie to be kind of give her, enough freedom to kind of do whatever the hell, she wanted. But now it seems like the director's cut of Justice League might be happening. And we might see this Darkseid in the DC universe, and Ava might create a new Darkseid. Who knows? We're kind of used to just having multiple, universes. And the current map of the DC universe shows Darkseid living outside of, the multiverse. There is only one Darkseid, which is the ruler of Apocalypse in this New Gods comic book. So, it looks pretty damn interesting. And, welcome to DC. Happy birthday, Superman. Action Comics number 1000 has debuted. And if you haven't picked it up, go right ahead. Your local comic book store has tons of them. If you can get to it, definitely download it on the iPad or, other paid services, because if you pay for it, the artist will benefit. And as an artist, that's kind of nice. One of the coolest things about the celebration is because people are reinvigorated about Superman, and one of the best things about it is that finally the official Twitter handle of DC Comics celebrated Man of Steel images and Batman vs. Superman images when they released a little compilation on Twitter. So I think that this new person in charge, of the DC universe is doing a good job. And if, we get the ultimate Snyder cut of Justice League, we might get a wonderful, Superman. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about what I heard about Superman from the early takes is that one of the reasons why Superman is so damn happy and go lucky and yay is because he survived death. And I had a traumatic experience, in a swimming pool where I almost died. And I can tell you that, getting back, being alive is definitely a cause for optimism, but not like in the stupid cartoon, like in the Superman versus the Elite comic and the movie, where they think that Superman is a joke. So I'm really excited about that. The comic book was really great. They did a midnight release party, and all the fans got free pizza, courtesy of DC Comics. One cool thing to know is that this is big news. Chicago Tribune did a wonderful, telling of this event. So go ahead and give them a click. I like journalism. I love journalism. So go ahead and give them a like. The other cool thing is by the LA Times. The other great paper with balls. They have the balls to call out people's bullshit, especially Disney. They have a Sunday conversation. DC Entertainment publishers talk about redefining Superman at 80, because this year marks the 80th anniversary also of the Man of Steel, Superman. So likewise, go ahead and click to the LA Times and go ahead and check out their both articles. For for me, the celebration has been awesome. I bought some stuff on Voodoo Digital. I bought the extended version of Superman the movie. So if you haven't seen the extended cut, it's 3 hours. And it's kind of ironic that everybody that loves nostalgia, they're kind of like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to see a longer one. Well, everybody loves it. But anyways, my celebration has been that. I did pick up the Superman 1000, and, I've just been reading about Superman, all the posts, from fans and stuff. It's been kind of heartwarming, Superman gets a bad rap, but not for me, actually. I actually like Superman. And I'm gonna give you guys a tiny little plug. A couple years back, to kind of geek out on Superman, I made a couple of comics. So let's run through them. From 2013. This is kind of personal. Kind of the immigrant story. I always liked Superman because of that. Even before it was trendy on Twitter. So my uncle used to come and visit us and bring beer and kind of cry about his, family problems and stuff like that. And he always liked seeing me and, my, my Superman hoodie, so we were all immigrants and we left our home. We kind of reminiscent about Mexico and stuff like that. So when I heard that my uncle was in the hospital, I didn't know what to do. Quite honestly, I was just like, "Fuck! What do I say?" I can't make him cry. I want him to have a good memory of me. So I wore my Superman hoodie, and immediately, he lit up like a Christmas tree. He was really happy. So I was a really emotional one. That's one of the good ones that I really enjoyed about, what Superman means to me and to a lot of Mexicans. I know that comic book debate, has a lot of wonderful stories about Superman. Definitely go ahead and give them a read. The second one, it's more tongue-in-cheek. I wanted to pay homage to all aspects of Superman. This one is basically I was how should I put this? I'm 5'7", but I used to weigh like 260, and I got tired of being the lonely nerd with no girlfriend. So I lost a lot of weight, within 18 months I was 160 something. I was very lean and stuff. And then when the recession hit, I moved out of San Francisco. So I came back, and there was a nice period of time when I didn't have a girlfriend, like months and months. And I met this cutie working next door to me, and we just kind of hit it off. She kind of wanted to wait, to kind of do the deed, as it were. And, I was like, yeah, whatever. I like your personality. I don't date girls for shady reasons, And she was, I think it was Christmas. She was house sitting, and yeah, it happened. But it was kind of like endurance, and it was kind of a nice, funny nickname, Superman, Super Surge, just doing a lot of sexy time. So I had to make a comic about that. The other one's actually really fucking great. So since I grew up in Mexico, and my mom used to buy the newspapers pretty much every day, and in Mexico we still had newsstands, kind of like They would sell newspapers and comics and stuff like that. So I assumed that the newspapers told like the daily stories, and that comics were just kind of like retelling. It was like a history book. Now, why did my little kid thought of that? Because in Mexico we had luchadores, wrestlers. And in those days, those guys are real. And to this day, they're real too. But the real guys had imaginary comic books. So, for instance, if you like a particular luchador, there'd be a comic book of that luchador. So that was my logic as to why Superman or Batman could be real. Because I'd see luchadors, and I'm like, oh, fuck, they're flesh and blood, right? And, the other thing is that they made movies where they would fight, like, vampires, zombies, werewolves, and even Frankenstein. So I'd figured that luchadors, having comics and movies, but they were also real in Mexico, basically would allow me to believe that Batman and Superman were real, but in the States, like I was like 3 or 4 years old, by the way. And, some people would say like, well, how can you believe that nonsense? Like, how can you believe that there's a supernatural being? I was like, well, fuck, I grew up Catholic, man. We believe in miracles. So that's how I was, so anyways, that kind of is this cute comic. I know I got one about the immigrant story, one about sexy time because Superman joke, haha, and this is about my upbringing. The other one is about the Clark Kent duality. When I lost all the weight, a lot of people would just kind of see like the hot Latino guy, but they wouldn't see my personality, and that's the Superman Clark Kent dilemma. I think that one of the reasons why idiots have problems relating to Superman is because they don't know him as Clark Kent. I think that there's a lot of xenophobia also. They think that, they kind of see as minorities, Latinos, Muslims, they kind of see us all as like a stereotype. So as they see Superman as a stereotype of like strong man, perfect, unrelatable, blah. Only white people want to have their main characters to have problems to be relatable. It's probably schizophrenia. Yeah. I know Shakespeare and shit, but whatever. So yeah, it's kind of weird, that there's that dichotomy about, us Latinos as being like a commodity, but, I like that comic. It's a little bit more personal, and man, I speak to everybody. The other one is actually pretty interesting. True life, yo. So I was living in San Francisco, as I mentioned, and, I was doing security. I know, kind of a tedious job. I was a security guard supervisor, which I was in charge of a lot of, agents, security guards, basically. And there was a 4th of July celebrations, and I was there, but then I heard someone hit the water and splash. I didn't know how to swim. I still don't know how to swim. I kind of know, but, not in the freezing water like this poor bastard. So I yelled that somebody was drowning, and then people just jump and they help the victims. So even though I wasn't Superman myself to kind of like go in there and rescue the person, because my swimming abilities are kind of okay, but they're not like swimming at the Bay Area. Like, fuck, the water was freezing, so I don't know if the person, made it out. I don't know, but it's all about inspiring people to do the right thing. Anyways, so that's my comic books, for why I think Superman is cool. There's a lot more reasons, obviously, that I can get into, but, just wanted to share some personal stuff and save it for prosperity. Anyways, rambling on, I know. But anyways, we are just getting, as I'm recording this, there is a wonderful news that the event known as CinemaCON is happening. And this is late breaking news as I'm recording this. There is a spot for Aquaman. So we might actually have some footage or some kind of presentation. I've also heard that there might be more news and announcements of the DC Comics slate. One of the reasons why I decided to do this podcast is to kind of just clear the way for the new episode in case big news happens, and couldn't be more excited. Anyways, this is DC Domingo. Stay tuned for another episode later on. Dilesia DC.